Welcome back to Switcher South Africa. I'm Nicky Nash, and this is a New Year's, our first review for the year. It's been a while, you guys haven't seen me, but this is the car I have today. I've had this car for just under a month. This was our December car, and before I speak about this car, you know what I'm gonna say. Let's speak about Change Cars. What is Change Cars? Change Cars is an online platform where you can buy, sell, and inquire about a vehicle. If you're looking to buy the Polo Sedan, for example, and you own the previous Polo Sedan, just go to Change Cars, say, hey, I own the previous Polo, I like the new Polo Sedan, should I consider it? They'll tell you, buy it, don't buy it, all of those nitty-gritty. But if you don't believe me, just go to their site. This video you're seeing now, you'll also see it on their site. But I've told you enough about Change Cars. Let's check out the Polo Sedan. So now, let's speak about the Polo Sedan. It doesn't look like a Polo. That's one thing I can tell you. But let's speak about the look of the car in front, and then I'll tell you why I say it doesn't look like a Polo. So the look of the car in front, I actually like it. Looks very minimal. VW didn't try to go over the top, because going over the top meaning the price will go up. So those cars, this is the top of the range. This is the Polo Sedan Life. So there's only two model ranges. There's the Polo Sedan, it's just called the Polo Sedan, and the Polo Sedan Life, which is this one. So top of the range VW Polo products have a light bar, but this one doesn't have a light bar because this car is not for aesthetics per se. VW is looking at, you want a nice family car, or you want an Uber car, for example. This is it. Very simple. You don't need a light bar in this. You don't need to look cool or anything like that. So VW kept it simple, and by keeping it simple, they managed to keep the price of this vehicle under 400,000 rand. That's what I'm going to tell you about the price of the vehicle. I'll tell you the price of the vehicle later on in the review. But the look of the car in front, I like it. So this car comes with daytime running lights over here. It has LED headlamps, and it has fog lights down there at the bottom, which I like the look of the car. I like how VW has integrated like LED lights as a standard on this model. I know the entry level, I'm not too sure if it's running halogens or LEDs, but this one is LEDs. I like the look of it in front. It shows that it's a VW. I've showed you the car in front. This time I show you the side. Most of the time we go to the back, but I need to show you the side. There's something that I don't like about this car on the side. They don't go to the back. Let's move the camera this way and speak about the side. Along to the side of the vehicle, I think if you guys know me or know what a petrol head likes, you can tell the thing I want to speak about is the ride height. This is a big gap, but in front it's not really that bad. But when you move along to the back, that's where you see that this ride height is insane. Honestly, I do not like the ride height of this vehicle. Something I don't like. The side profile of this vehicle, I'm not a fan of. I like the car looking directly in front, directly at the back. The side, I am not a fan of this vehicle. If this vehicle could just go a bit lower at the back, at the front, and bigger wheels. These are 16s. If it was 17-inch rims, maybe it would look a bit more appealing on the side. Maybe VW could have done a bit more in terms of the wheel design. The wheel design is very plain and simple. So if they put more effort into that, make the Polo Sedan Life 17-inch wheels, different wheel set, then we'll be telling a different story. But they didn't do that. Maybe with the facelift they will. Listen to me, VW. Listen to me. But I've told you that. Let's move on to the back. It's actually a part of lie. Let's move on to the back. Then I'll show you the boot size. It's insane. The boot size is insane. You can fit 3 of me, but I'll show you that. Let's go to the boots. So moving on to the back of this vehicle, I honestly love the back of this vehicle, more especially in this color. In fleet, there's this one, and there is a silver one. Best believe, when VW told me they gave me the Polo Life, I thought I was getting the silver one, so I was not really happy per se, but I'm honestly happy that I got this one. But we're gonna pause the video just a bit because there's a very nice VW coming this way, and it's a Polo. So yeah, a Polo passed, a Polo hatch, and the owner, trust me, what is he doing? Looking at the car. So back to the Polo Sedan. I like the look of this vehicle, the lights. I told you that I'm not a fan of the silver one because it looks a bit too Uber vibes. This one doesn't look necessarily Uber, because Uber vehicles are generally silver and white. This one is more to the red, so for someone like me, it doesn't suit me, but it suits me. I hope that makes sense. So I like the lights more, especially why I like the lights is because they're clear. Real lights have this red effect and all of that, like you can tell how real lights are. With this one, it's clear everywhere. The only red is over here where it's on, and I honestly like that VW have made it very, very unique in that instance. But to the back, very simple. Bumper, very simple. You have rear sensors here at the back, and also the VW badge. So the reverse camera in most VWs, it's this badge. So this badge pops up, but because this is a sedan, it doesn't have that. The rear camera is over there, so it does have a reverse camera. I do like that about the vehicle. Now it's time to speak about the boot. One thing I like about the boot as well is that this boot is a pop-up, so you can just press a button, it pops up, or with the key it pops up. It's an upgrade from the previous Polo Sedan. The previous Polo Sedan you had to manually do it yourself. So with this one, press and hold the button, then the boot opens, and the boot is huge. You can fit a good 3 to 4 or 5 of me in this boot. I've sat in the boot of this vehicle, but that's enough about the boot. Let's speak about 3 things I like, 3 things I don't like, my driving impressions, and my recommendation. And you know how we do it this side, we speak about the bad. And the bad, we have to go inside, because my number 1 is the most hated thing that I don't like about this car. I don't like it, I hate it. Let's speak about it. And we're on to the 3 things I don't like about the vehicle. And my number 1 thing that I don't like, which I actually do hate, is the interior of this vehicle. It's white cloth seats. Honestly, this car will get very dirty very early. So owning this vehicle, you need to take it to the valet service. Literally, when you take a car for service, you must call the guys so they can come clean your seats every 15,000 to 10,000 kilometers, because those seats will honestly look, yeah. So second thing I don't like about the vehicle, let's get out the car and you will see it. Second thing I don't like about this vehicle, you guys can see where I'm standing, it's obvious. The right height. That's the second thing I don't like about the vehicle. The third thing I don't like, and I'm going to speak about this in my driving impression, is the fuel economy. When the aircon is on, those cars use a lot of fuel, but I'll speak more about that in my driving impressions. Now let's go on to the 3 things I like about the vehicle. And number 1, what I like about this vehicle is the overall look of the vehicle and the front. At the back, it looks very beautiful. I like the look of this car from the back and front. That's the number 1 thing I like about the car. The second thing I like about the car is the overall feel of the vehicle. When you're inside, it feels like a VW. When you're driving the vehicle, you can feel that it's a VW. The build quality for a vehicle that's under 400,000 rand, the build quality in this vehicle, there is quite a bit of plastic, but it feels good. There's the second thing I like. The third thing I like is the fact that it feels like a VW. It drives like a VW. And driving this vehicle, honestly, out of this world. I did a lot of traveling with this vehicle. I think I did over 2,000 kilometers with this vehicle, and honestly, because of that, how the car drives, it made me want to drive it every single day I had this vehicle. And I did try drive it most of the days I had this vehicle, but you know, the fuel is an issue. But speaking of fuel being an issue, let's speak about my driving impressions of this vehicle, and then we'll speak about my recommendation, and then sum up the review and close it. Driving impressions, let's get it. So now you guys join me inside the Volkswagen Polo Sedan for my driving impressions of this vehicle. And honestly, this vehicle is just amazing to drive. I've had this vehicle for over a month now, just under a month, my mistake, and I've honestly loved my entire time with this vehicle. I enjoyed every single moment with this vehicle. And speaking of power wise, we just get to the nitty gritty of the vehicle. So this is a 1.6 naturally aspirated engine. So power wise, looking at 81 kilowatts and 152 newton meters of torque. Now off the bat, when I say that, you think, okay, this car doesn't have much of a push, much of a push. And honestly, it does. It gets to speed quick enough when it needs to. It gets the job done. I've enjoyed the vehicle. It handles so well. It drives like a Volkswagen. I think that's something that I keep saying, and I'm gonna keep saying it because it's what VW gets right so well throughout across all the range. I can put you in a Tiguan, I can put you in a T-Roc, I can put you in a Polo hatch, I can put you in this Polo Sedan, and close your eyes and close your eyes throughout all of that, and you can tell that, you know what, I am inside a Volkswagen. And it's honestly what I love about this vehicle. So it's powered by a 5-speed manual transmission. I think that's the only downfall in terms of this vehicle for me personally, because 5-speed highway cruising, it screams high rev. So looking at when you're doing 120, your rev count would easily be sitting at like just above 3,000 RPM. And honestly, it's something that I do not like, so that's the disadvantage about this vehicle. Like if it had a 6th gear, it would be amazing, just pitch perfect. Now I mentioned something that I don't like about this vehicle, and it's the fuel efficiency when the aircon is on. So I did a 400 kilometer trip to Venda, to Limpopo, and I was filtering aircon on, aircon off. And when I got to my destination, I still had a good I had a good 240 kilometers to empty. So now my return trip, I did the whole trip driving back with the air conditioning on. And when I got back home, my fuel efficiency was literally telling me I'm averaging around 7.8, and my previous trip I was averaging 6.4, something like that. And after all of that, my range was saying 120 when I got back home, and it's something that honestly got to me. So with the aircon on, this car does tend to chow a bit more fuel, but you know it's understandable. Or aircon on, 5-speed automatic, 5-speed manual, my mistake. So it'll be high revving a lot of the time. So that's the disadvantage about this vehicle. So having mentioned the fuel efficiency and the whole aircon conditioning situation, I get to a point where I start asking myself those 3 important questions, and you guys know those 3 important questions. Do I like the car? Would I buy the car? And would I recommend the car? And for that, honestly, you guys know what I need to do. I need to be outside the vehicle for that. And yeah, I hope you guys like the content. Let's step outside and get it. So now we're on that point. You guys know 3 things. The most 3 important questions. Do I like the car? Would I buy the car? Would I recommend the car? 1, do I like the car? Yes, I do. 2, would I buy the car? Unfortunately not. This is not a car for me. I'm still very young. Doesn't suit me. Why I wouldn't buy it? Not because it's an ugly car or it's not a good car or anything like that. Just that it's not for me. I'm not in the market for this vehicle. So I wouldn't buy it. If I was looking to get in the Uber business, yes, I would. Now, the 3rd thing, would I recommend the vehicle? This vehicle, honestly, I would recommend it. It has quite a bit of competition because you're looking at like the Honda Ballad, the Suzuki Ciaz, the Toyota Corolla sedan, and I think I've mentioned, the Kia Pegasus as well competes with this vehicle. And honestly, I haven't driven literally any of its competitors, but having mentioned those vehicles, this car is in a bit of a tight position because those vehicles, some of them come a bit cheaper, and people in this industry, the Uber business, they're looking for a vehicle that's slightly cheaper than what this is. And speaking of this vehicle, this car costs 360,000 rand. To some people that's a lot, but honestly, because I've had this car for December, I honestly feel for 360 it's worth it. For a brand new car, this is worth the price of the vehicle. Looking at how much cars are going for nowadays, they're going for easily above 500,000 rand. So this one is easily, for me, worth the 360,000 rand. But you don't have to opt for this one because it's the entry level one, same engine, all of that. So the entry level one, you're looking at around 320 if I'm not mistaken. But I'll put all the information in the description box below. Back to the vehicle, would I recommend it? Yes, I would. It's a good vehicle. Your Uber driver is gonna love this vehicle. As the owner, if I'm the owner and I have an Uber driver, he's gonna love me for giving him those vehicles to drive on a day-to-day basis. I would recommend this vehicle, and overall this vehicle will give you what you want. It'll bring in the money. For family use, it's more than enough. There's 5 seats and the boot is insane. You can fit the whole South Africa in this vehicle. But I've told you about the Polo Sedan. This is the first review for the year. Things are a bit stagnant right now in January because you know how January is, but don't worry, things are going to pick up, and when things pick up, it's going to be one hell of a year. February is a month where I don't want to reveal too much, but a lot's going to happen. Just stay tuned, and yeah, I hope you guys like the review of this Volkswagen Polo Sedan. Remember, buy my caps. Signing out.